Welcome one all to KatQ, our first video on the KatQ channel. So for today's episode, I found a Reddit post that I was very interested in talking about with Nathan, just because obviously Nathan is, I guess he's a good gamer at Marvel Rivals. Okay,
Yeah.
What's your rank right now?
GM3, smile.
Yes.
After the reset?
Yes. Oh, wait, you're GM3 right now?
Yeah.
God damn. And I hit GM in season 0, but right now I'm Diamond 2, I think. But I feel like Nathan has like 7 years of like hero shooter experience over me. So I feel like we still see the game in totally different ways. I feel like he's more of an expert than me. So it's just going to be interesting to have like my like casual opinion and Nathan's like, I guess, expert opinion on stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually a Reddit thread. This is from r/Marvel Rivals, and I'm actually curious to see what you think. So the title is, Why Are People So Afraid to Push? This is so frustrating, especially when I'm a strategist. Spending minutes of the round just in one spot taking damage, filling enemy units. There's been so many times where I, as a healer, am pushing the front lines because my 3 DPS want to stay behind corners taking long shots. Some people are so quick to crap on healers when things go wrong, but if I'm healing you, do your job and put some damn pressure on the enemy. There's a top comment here and it says, as someone that plays Cloak and Dagger, I've lost count how many times I've ulted a path to the objective and passed it for some momentum, only to see my whole team back up and die to the flank. Wait, this happens to me. I'm a Cloak and Dagger main. I can attest to this. But what are your initial thoughts on this? You've had to grind from the lower ranks, right? So what are your thoughts on this? Why do you think people are so afraid to push, especially maybe in the lower ranks?
I mean, this is not just a Rivals problem. This is an Overwatch problem too. People don't know how to like time their aggression at all, and they don't know how to take the initiative. A lot of people are a sit back and wait for something to happen versus being the proactive person to make something happen. So you'll notice this in low ranks in Overwatch, where everybody sits at the choke and pokes nonstop without anybody, especially like the tank or anybody wanting to push up because they're waiting for they're a reactive player. They're not proactive. So when Cloak and Dagger ult and is making space, nobody reacts to it. They kind of just wait and they're like, oh, we're just kind of, they like to just defend themselves. And those people who win the games more often in low ranks especially are the ones that are trying to make something happen. Because they do that because they're scarred from like somebody trying to be proactive at the wrong times, and they feed and they're like, see, this is what happens when we don't stick together and you push up by yourself. But it's like, well, if you all kind of push up and the only way to learn when to push up and when to be proactive is to actually try doing it. So it's one of those growing pains you have to go through.
Yeah, like the other day I had a match with a Squirrel Girl and we were 3 healers, and like I felt bad because my friend Mark was pushing up as a tank and we kept dying to the flank because we just kept staying back. But sometimes I feel like if we just pushed a little bit more, like us 3 healers and the DPS closer to Mark the tank, maybe he could help peel for us. Do you think that like makes sense?
A lot of times it depends on the tank, but a lot of them can't really peel. They don't have like crazy peeling tools. So they kind of just have to stay together and like, or the tank has to kind of like hold the space in the front, or else they all just barrel through and roll you anyways. So it's not really his job. He has to kind of hold the shield in front and keep them at bay and continue pressuring them. But if you guys in the back kind of collectively clump together a bit more, it makes it harder for the flankers to kill. Because like I said, a lot of low rank supports will not push. They'll kind of stay really far back by themselves. Like even if you have 3, like some of them can push up aggressively, then you're by yourself, then the Black Panther or whoever will just jump the solo support and you just die. So if you're going to clump, don't clump where you get hit by every AoE depending on the team comp you're playing against, but play close to each other so the supports can peel for each other. You have 3 supports to rotate heals on each other, like you probably shouldn't die to any solo flanker.
Mm-hmm. And so like, let's say that I'm playing ranked, right? Mm-hmm. And I notice that my team is being so afraid to push. Yep. You know, like we're just not pushing the point. Let's say I see this a lot with like a Squirrel Girl on the other team, or like just people who can just like spam like the choke a lot. Like I feel like a lot of people struggle with that situation. So let's say that I'm in that situation, right? Like the enemy team Squirrel Girl and like whoever the fuck is on their other team just keeps spamming the choke, and our team is just like too scared to go through. How as I, like, let's say I'm in a ranked game, right? And I really want to fucking win. How would I tell my team to like push forward? Like what kind of comms would you recommend I do?
Cloak and Dagger Ultimate. It's one of the best initiation tools. Obviously, not all of them will push up with it, but that's all you can do from your Cloak and Dagger perspective.
But like,
you tell them.
for anyone, like let's say like a more universal tip, like not just for Cloak and Dagger, but let's say like I want to like tell my team like we can still push up. Like, is there anything that I have to look for? Like, do we have to wait for the enemy to make a mistake? Is there something I can calm, or like something that we can all try to coordinate together to finally get past the point?
Okay, biggest example I can think of is that, you know, that map that has that dynamic moving parts, and there's that like room in the, there's like that room that everybody bundles up in.
Yeah.
There's a little health pack there, but then there's like these ramps to the left and the right. Like the only way to go through is to split some people off, especially like some of your DPS take a different angle. If all 6 of you walk out and you're not ready, you will get AoE'd and spammed down. Groot can wall you off, whatever. So the only way universal thing is to like send 2 people on the off angle, maybe send 4 out of main and then 2 on the side to kind of relieve pressure. Because if the 2 come out on the side at the right time, of course, it'll make the other team kind of look up there and relieve some pressure from main. But if all 6 of you barrel out of one spot, then you kind of just get spammed down. And that's why people are afraid to push out. They kind of just play it safe there. The tanks need to just kind of go in and be in the middle, while a lot of the supports do tend to stay in there and shoot. You know which map I'm talking about, right? The one that keeps shifting left, right, left, right, left, right.
Yes.
These moving parts.
I hate
in
that.
the middle, a circle goes up.
Yeah.
Like that one's a huge example of people being afraid to go up.
Yeah, so essentially what you're saying is just like have maybe like, you know, someone like a Spider-Man, like even like, you know, off angle, maybe like try and like annoy them a little bit in the back line so they kind of like turn or like
well, I mean, if your Spider-Man's
preoccupied.
playing in that choke, he should not be playing Spider-Man ever again. He's literally banned from playing that hero. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but like maybe get like one DPS to like off angle and like distract them a bit, or like even a BP, like have them like go in the back line. So essentially what really helps in this situation is to have some like a distraction, not feeding. Because I feel like when people like kind of dive, I think especially in a lot of low ranks, I feel like they have to get a kill to be successful. But I feel like even just being a distraction to give your team a little bit more leeway to like have more like presence is still a success. So I feel like that's probably why a lot, like when I see like Spider-Mans and Black Panthers and like fucking like Wolverines, like I get a little bit nervous because they're the ones that there's some mains that like that think that to be successful in Spider-Man and all that you have to get kills. But that's not necessarily what can, you know, be a successful like Spider-Man or like flanker, you know, like sometimes if you're just a distraction and just help alleviate pressure from the enemy team, I think that's a success. So,
Correct.
Yeah, so just having someone who can, you don't even have to get kills, okay? So I don't want no Spider-Mans. I don't want you to be switching to motherfucking Spider-Man or Wolverine, bitch, and then come in and go in the back line and dying, okay? I'm talking about the ones that can just like, you know, you like do a little bit of damage and then like
you get in, get out.
away.
The kill is the best outcome, but like obviously if you like do your rotation and you have to escape, that's fine. But like you pull 2 or 3 people to look at you. Like think about it from your perspective when you get screwed over by a good Black Panther. Like the Black Panther jumps you, like more often than not, you're gonna have 2 people turn around for you because like the support's gonna be like, oh my god, I need help, and hopefully the other support turns around like you as a Black Panther distracting too. You don't want to die, but if you mess up your rotation and they peel for each other, you do have to get out and disengage. Some bad Black Panthers or bad flankers will just overcommit when they can't confirm the kill, and then they die, then they bitch at their team like, oh, this hero's useless, or like my team's not doing anything, I can't kill them by myself. But it's like, you know, you do your rotation, best outcome's a kill. If not, you know, you get out, but you did burn their cooldowns. They probably used a Mantis Sleep. The Luna probably threw a slow at you. Their Cloak and Dagger might have panicked and phased out. Like, you burned your cooldowns, their backline burned theirs, and you relieve pressure from the main choke for hopefully your team to push up.
Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. I think that's a good solution. I think that's like so doable, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that can actually just turn things around. I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
This comment
like if you're gonna barrel out of main, you have to play and you want to commit to that, and you don't have any off angles. You have to play like Punisher or something that can set up and actually burst through. But that's about it.
That's a good point.
Or wait for like a Winter Soldier to hook them in and punish a mistake. But like it's comp dependent. But yeah.
Yeah, because what I see sometimes is like people get really frustrated and then they just yell at their team like, let's just fucking go in. Just ignore everything and just go in. And sometimes it works because like sometimes the enemy team will just like be like, oh damn, like they're actually like being really aggressive. Or sometimes it just works. I feel like most of the time it works for the worst because you're not changing anything. You're just literally just like pressing W, and like sometimes it works, but for the most part, like if like the whole reason you're scared is because they're spamming a lot of damage. So if you just face tank the damage, like that still might not work out.
Yeah.
So I feel like those two solutions you gave are like really good ones for people who are struggling with that. And maybe you can like calm to your team like, hey, like let's switch to like you can like do Wolverine if they have a lot of tanks. You can be like, oh, maybe you can go Wolverine and like, you know, try and kidnap someone, and then once they're distracted, we'll go in and like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
but I feel like those just calming like that can probably help a lot, right? So and then this person says, shit, I play flanker, magic, and there's been so many times where I'll get a good flank, pick off both healers, push up from the enemy backlines onto point, and start attacking tanks and DPS from behind. Toss off a DPS and or a tank, die, respawn, and my entire team is still standing in our backlines, taking pot shots at the objective.
Well, what I just mentioned is like the Magic's doing the right thing by doing that, and then if they're not pushing up, like, there's nothing more you can do other than ping, tell them to go. But not everybody. You're playing solo queue, you're playing rank with 6 people of hopefully your similar skill, but like you got to manage your expectations. Some people are just not meant to be at this rank, and like they're making losing plays. They will probably de-rank. It sucks that you're part of that, but like if you're doing the right thing constantly as Magic and jumping the right people and relieving pressure from the choke, best thing you do is pray, ping, tell them to go in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like what really helps is like, honestly, sometimes in those situations, you just gotta low-key coach the team. Like, you gotta be like, oh, I got 2 people in the back line, we can move up to point. Like, you know what I mean?
Push. Like, sometimes, it can sound a little annoying and micromanagey, but like in these games, like,
yeah, sometimes that's the only thing you can do. If you're doing everything right, but your team doesn't know how to follow up on what you're doing, sometimes you just have to communicate it. And don't be toxic. Don't be like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's not going to help. Like, I feel like you just genuinely
You'd be
have
like,
to
hey,
be like,
I'm like pulling 2 people, like, like, can we push up? Or like, what's stopping you guys from pushing up? Like, is somebody else counter, like, here's something else to consider. Like, you're doing that, but then their enemy Magic, the enemy Spider-Man is jumping your backline at the same time you're doing it. So that's something you have to consider too, like the other different factors. I remember that game we played where it's like our teammates like, just push up, and I'm like, dude, this Captain America is just beating my ass in the back. And it's just like, just ignore him. I'm like, dude, I cannot ignore him. He's gonna beat my ass. Like, I burn all my healing cooldowns on, and then like with 2 or 3 people looking at the cap, like you need to apply. We need to also turn around for a brief moment. Maybe don't have to press W for that exact moment. Turn around, shoot him a little bit to make him run away, and then we can go for a brief moment because it gives us a window because he has to jump and look for heals as well. He's just beating my ass. And Cap is not supposed to do anything if people kind of like look at him and shoot him a little bit and heal. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, no, I was in that game too. And like, I honestly tried. I was like, you know, maybe I do need to fucking just ignore this Captain America. And I died.
Ignoring him. And I'm like, dude, he's just beating my ass. Like, there's not enough pressure in the front, or we need to turn around and pressure him. So obviously, if there's not enough pressure in the front, then like the other solution is to actually shoot him and get him off our backs before we initiate. That's it. And he only initiates once we make some space. So if we make some space, then you dial back and deal with the flanker. That's also a strat that people use where you bait an engagement and then you wait for their flankers to jump in. Then you turn around and turn on the flankers really quick before overcommitting forward. Yeah. Anyways, these are advanced tactics, and you can't have the expectation that everybody can be on the same page. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why like voice comms is so prevalent. Like, it's almost a must in like, you know, the One for All is like the higher elos, because
one above all. One for All is My Hero Academia.
Oh, man, you know what I mean.
Yeah, anyways, go on.
But anyways, yeah, like, you know, communication can help a lot. So I feel like in lower ranks, sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people just like don't want to hear it, and like, bitch, my 014 Spider-Man is great, okay, like, relax, you know. But I feel like the more you get used to calming, the more you realize that some people will calm back and be like, oh, we're actually having a hard time because we're getting flanked at the same time that you're flanking them. Like, you can just like you can troubleshoot a lot better with comms. So I think that comms will help. Not all the time, because some people just aren't open to feedback or just don't listen. And at that point, there's nothing much you can do at that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're playing an online shooter game, bitch. Like, you know, you can't win them all. But I feel like, especially if, you know, you feel like you're doing a lot and your team just isn't following up, I feel like communication really helps, and like encouraging them to communicate like what's happening on their end too, so you can maybe help them too, or like adjust your gameplay. But yeah, I think that this is something that I do see a lot. I've had games like this where people are just too afraid to push up, honestly, and press W. But yeah, there are a lot of different situations that people just don't know how to deal with. So hopefully these tips help, And yeah, I'll be looking at some more posts in the future, and then we'll be asking Nathan for his point of view and just talking about games where we've seen stuff like this. So if you're interested in just all things Marvel Rivals related, and be sure to subscribe and catch the next video. I think we'll also be doing like TikTok reactions maybe in the future too. We'll see. I think those would be fun. But yeah, we're definitely going to continue with this reading Reddit stuff just because it's fun to talk about. Like, this is the first game that I've been competitive in. And I'm really trying to work on my game sense and grow my game sense. And I think having these conversations for everyone to see will help someone out there that's trying to learn like me. Especially, not everyone has a Nathan in their life, okay? Not everyone has a KarQ Chan in their life. So just having these conversations, I feel like will help me and other people out there. So if you're interested in learning more about the game, or just, you know, listening to more content and consuming more content about Marvel Rivals, feel free to subscribe. And also, if you want to watch a stream, you know, Nathan streams Marvel Rivals quite a bit, has a Marvel Rivals tips channel, okay? And I stream sometimes as well. So I'll have all the socials here if you want to follow it. And I'll see you next video. Bye.
Bye.